Hello, my name is Josh. I'm no expert, but I can teach you a thing or two about being rich. This is Young Rich.
My name is Dennis Makori. I am 34 years old. The On-Phone Media Group is a group of companies that deal in many things. One is software development. The other bit that we do is SMS communication systems. You hear them say, send your opinion to this number or talk to us. Whatever SMS it is you're sending comes through the network operator, then to us, then we forward it to the end user. We also do mobile banking. When you want to check, say, your bank balance, you press maybe *345. That command comes from you through the network providers, then to us, then to the banks. Bank processes that information, then passes it to us, then on mobile operator, then to the end user. We also do subscription services. People subscribe to inspirational quotes or Bible quotes or love quotes. We also do SMS marketing. If you have a database of, say, users who you interact with on a regular basis, that can be used, one, to communicate to your customers, two, as a marketing tool. We've come up with a production house. We are doing photography and videography. We are encouraging the young and upcoming artists come in and then produce with us for free. We can manage their music and promote them. Right now, as the group CEO for On-Phone Group, I manage wealth of people equivalent to about 1 billion shillings.
Look at this photograph. Every time I do it makes me laugh.
I was born way back in Kisii in 1979. I was born into a family of extremely poor parents. Over time, their condition improved into poor, what I would call poor. When I was born, my mother was 18 years old, a school dropout. Both my parents, none had formal education. My mother was a housewife and a peasant. My father was a peasant too, doing many work around the village.
My name is Dennis Makori. Dennis is my brother. He was our firstborn. Could go play football, go to the shamba, he could cook. He started being a person of responsibility while he's still a young boy. Growing up, we always used to make mistakes as young boys, and he could not tolerate the mistakes. He could discipline us. My dad used to give him actually the power to deal with us once we were in mistakes. You could see this a focused person, and we always hoped for the best.
I went to school in my village. There was a school nearby called Nyabigena Primary School. From preschool through to standard 8. And we used to school under a tree that we used to write on the ground. I wrote my first 1 through 10, A, E, I, O, U, on the ground using a stone. This is standard 1. Yeah, this is standard 1. Okay. Previously, like the days we went to school, these buildings were not there. These have all been erected later because they used to be mud houses, houses built by mud, and they used to have jiggers. It used to be desks. and three of us. Yeah,
You got three of you.
three. One here, another here, and one.
Vinywaji like that. Saizi hawezi toshea wawili
Those days we went to school for 3 hours. You can contrast that to today where pre-primary children are going to school as early as 6 and coming out at 3 or 4. Not many of us had shoes on our feet, so we used to go to school barefoot. I actually did my first pair of shoes when I was in standard 8. We didn't have textbooks. Our teachers used to teach us, especially in lower primary, in Kikisi. I've been taught English, Kiswahili, science, all in Kikisi. Later in upper primary, standard 4 going up, that we were now introduced to being taught in English and Swahili. A lot will be done still in Kikisi. That is the first language, that's the language we understood. We used to pay very little activity fee, money for the watchman, and that would sometimes be a challenge to my parents. I used to be either 1, 2, 3. When I'm 5, that is my worst performance. I finished, I passed well, and went to Kisii High School. At Kisii High School, I saw electricity, I must say, for the first time in my life. Somewhere where you can just go to a wall and click a switch, and there is light. That was fantastic. It is unlike what I grew up. I grew up using a tin lamp, the one which has a lot of smoke. I was a very focused student. At secondary school, I used to run around the school, say 10 kilometers. I wanted to keep myself and my mind in the best state possible. And I think I was rewarded by good grades. My worst subject was arts and crafts.
What was your favorite subject?
Mathematics. I am more science oriented.
My name's Alfano Mogoa. Back at home, we are not too well off. Dennis emerged to be one of the best people, coming out with very good grades. From there we started to know that this person who can have an impact in our society.
After high school, I bought a small camera. I have done photographs for so many weddings in my village. I had talked to about 5 schools to go in during weekends to take photos of students. I got money from there, and I even bought a bicycle so that I could run very fast to the various places where I had to take photos. I set up a shop, employed somebody to be selling in my stock. At the same time, I became an untrained teacher in one of the secondary schools. After I went into teaching, I hired somebody to be doing the camera work. I hadn't been away from Kisii all my life. I went to Moi University to do electrical and communications engineering. I quickly got adopted into it, and it was a lot of fun. It's at Moi University where I saw a computer for the first time in my life. In second year, when we were doing a course called Introduction to computers. It is when I was learning that this is a mouse, this is a monitor, and this is a CPU. I was a bit behind because some of my colleagues had gone to better schools. They used to say, okay, give me my floppy disk and I need to save some data, and I'm like, what language is that? Quickly I got used to it. I developed a lot of interest in computers. Within a short time, I was learning the computing stuff by myself. I realized I have a talent in programming. That was 3rd year, 4th year through 5th year. I would sit 15 hours a day in, day out, learning my programming. By the time I'm finishing off my degree, I was more of a computer programmer than an electrical engineer. I knew I'm going to be a computer programmer. I decided that I want to form a company to do software development. It was very, very and extremely challenging. Okay, then we go. Me and you see who goes first.
Who is cheering for me?
Cheering.
So see, Josh and Dennis.
On walking race.
Yeah, on walking race, on young rich. Okay,
Good.
who is calling? Ready, go. Yes, Si tumeshinda.
Kushinda gani?
Tumeshinda, but tumefika mbele yako.
Haukushika post?
Si tumeshinda.
Going into business, for me especially, comes very naturally. Well, it started much earlier in my life at 17. When I was in campus, I also set up a business. When I went for my third year attachment, I was paid some money. I also added some money that we had been given by the Higher Loans Education Board. I hooked up with a friend of mine and we set up a photocopying business. We hired somebody who would be doing photocopying for us. We used to get good business, bought another photocopier. So we used to run 2 photocopiers, one in campus and another in Chepkoilal campus, until when we came out of Moi and then had to go into now the professional line.
My name is Engineer Osiemo. Dennis is a long-time friend for more than a decade now. Unlike most people, the trend of that time whereby you will finish and start applying for CV, looking for jobs here and there. He set his mind in business. There is a nickname we gave him as investor. He started working so early.
I had bought a computer while in campus. That is the one I'd used to learn by myself. I was armed with just my computer. I know nobody in Nairobi. I have never done business in Nairobi, and I am determined to try and form a company.
There was lack of resources. He had to start very small, come from a very humble background. He could not get the support of parents. We never had people to introduce him to the corporate business, to the corporate world. The main thing, he had the focus. He knew where he was going.
I'd ganged up with 2 of my friends. We are completely green. We've not done business before, and we are determined to make it. We got a friend of ours who had an office and gave us some small office space.
I knew him when he was having just a single room office. Unfortunately, the place was burnt down completely. For somebody who was struggling to set up himself, it was quite a challenge because he virtually lost everything, but he never lost the focus and the target which he had. He still picked up the pieces, recomposed himself.
It was a very tough and challenging time. We have to develop softwares and go hawking them. Go from place to place and say, this is the kind of softwares that we can do. Give us your needs, we can custom made some softwares for you. It took almost 10 months without anything coming through.
During holidays, I used to stay with him, could see him go to work. He could trek to work sometimes. He never used to get more money.
As the business, of course, tries to take shape, he could try other things in the side to keep him moving. The main focus remained.
My business instinct again kicked in a little. I decided to sell photocopying papers. I relocated briefly, I think for 3 months, to Eldoret. I would buy photocopying papers from Nairobi, transport them to Eldoret, then I will supply them to the people who are doing photocopying business. It was challenging. What am I going to do to break into this business? The advantage that I can give to my customers is delivery. Give them my number. They just call me whenever they need photocopying papers, and I deliver. That strategy worked well for me. Within a very short time, I was able to sell 50 cartons that I'd taken from Nairobi. Went back to Nairobi and did something else, and brought some other batch, sold very quickly. Then one customer came calling for software development. My colleagues who were in Nairobi called me and said, hey, there is a guy here who wants us to develop software for him to manage his trucks. And we were paid 10,000 shillings. That was the first money that we made. And that was a lot of money to us because we didn't have much needs.
I remember I used to stay in Kahawa West in a very small house. He used to pay maybe 1,500 rent.
I must say that is the sweetest 10,000 shillings ever. It proved proved to us we have finally developed something that somebody else is using and appreciates and pays us for. That, I must say, is the breakthrough. We were not formal. We had to register a business name. Our first business was called Comsoft Ventures. Comsoft Ventures is now the vehicle that we were using to market ourselves around, because you realize it's difficult when you're going to sell somebody, I can develop this system for you and my name is Dennis. People have more confidence in a business than in a person. You're better off if you're saying, okay, I'm coming from Comsoft Ventures and we can do this for you. That proved a very instrumental beat in getting us into the next level. We started getting more contracts and more softwares to develop. Box Clever was a clearing and forwarding company that wanted to be automated. We developed a system for them to do the automation. Then we got another company that wanted to develop personnel and pensions management system. In the course of time, we started developing softwares to automate SACCOs. In a period of less than 2 years, we were actually making money enough to afford Mitsubishi Lancer, the car that I love most to date.
The next move, we went to a big office in View Park Towers. The rent was 10 times higher.
I met a friend who used to be together in campus again. We were talking about business and we decided to register a new company that will now be doing the mobile value-added services. That is where OnFund Media was born. When we were setting up OnFund Media, one of the biggest challenges that we had is financing. To get the computers you need to run the kind of services, internet and connectivity to the network operators, licensing fee. We needed something like 1 to 2 million. We didn't have that money. When you're now going to the banks and you want some overdraft or some loan, you asked for collateral, you don't have any collateral. We would rely on personal savings and whatever kind of monies that we were getting from Comsoft to try and get in more money. We were new. We didn't have anybody who was experienced. Setting up a completely new business whose technology you have and you have to develop it from scratch. We used to put in many hours in research and in reading and studying and trying to get our things right. Finally, we managed to crack the systems and get on board. Ordinarily, for you to pass your traffic between you and the network providers, you will need what we call a router. We didn't have 60,000 shillings to buy a router. We configured one of the computers we had to act as a router. What we could not get by buying, because we didn't have the money, would put in many hours to try and develop.
So tell me, Dennis, about the registration.
This is a project that I set in my village. This is my village, this is my locality. The community had a problem.
Hapa awali kulikuwa hakuna petrol station hapa karibu. Kwa mfano kama mtu ambaye ana hii mitambo ya kusaga mahindi alikuwa akimbia paka Rongo ambao ni around 20 kilometers kutoka hapa. Ndio aende kuchukua mafuta ili aweze kusagia watu mahindi.
You can imagine you're incurring fuel to go 20 kilometers and back. That is 40 kilometers to come and do your business here. Then it would be very expensive. So it has really cut down the costs of operation for the bodabodas.
Imekuwa ikisaidia watu wengi ambao ni wakaaji wa hapa pamoja na watu wa nje.
How much did this station cost you to set it up and bring it to running?
About 2 million.
But it is bringing back. It's paying you back.
To me, really, it's not about
the community.
It's not about paying me back. It's about the community.
Mafuta yetu tunauza kulingana na ile bei serikali imesema. Hatutaki kuuza juu kwa sababu tuko peke yetu hapa.
I have a huge appetite for risk, unfortunately. or fortunately. One of the biggest risks that I took is to go into my professional life. I didn't have an idea what it will turn out to be. I hadn't worked in any software development firm to know how they do their business and what kind of market is out there. The only thing I knew is that these things work. I always take in whatever kind of opportunities. Some become fruitful and others don't become fruitful. I met some guy who told me he does online forex trading. He convinced me he could do it, and he's been doing it, and he has a portfolio of clients. I invested about $1 million shillings. He was doing well. He had managed to increase that money to about 3 million in a month. This is good. What kind of magic that you're doing there with your online forex trading? At this rate, I can stop everything else I'm doing and do online forex trading. What I didn't know is, as fast as the money comes, that fast it goes. By the 5th month, the account was clean. He had lost all the money. One person who I give most credit to my life is my mother. My mother was poor, very, very poor, but my mother knew what she wanted. She used to tell me, work hard in school so that you do not become who I am. That encouragement, that was very important, and I give credit to her. Our young people need to work hard. We have different kinds of talents. The most important is to identify your talent. Make use of that talent to better your life and to better the lives of the fellow human beings. It is not just in the USA where young people can make billions. Here in this country, it is possible too. I like to focus on things. I've seen that from way back in primary school.
My name is Maureen Baya. Dennis is my CEO. He's a driven person. He actually encourages everyone around him to be the same.
Sheer hard work. I have had to put in many, many hours.
I'm Alice Gashohi. What I've discovered is that he's smart. He knows how to keep us on our toes, how to deliver.
My name's Alex Nganga. When I met Dennis, I found him to be a person that you can work with, reliable, approachable.
He doesn't lie. He's a very good timekeeper.
He's a very disciplined guy in terms of finances management. And wherever he promised you that I'll repay you back, take that word to the bank.
My name is Benta. For the 4 years that I've known him, he's a good leader, a leader who leads by example.
He's approachable. When he comes in, you'll hear him saying hi from the door up to his office. Maybe that's why he's such a good leader.
He doesn't micromanage, but he likes also getting himself to understand what's working out in various departments.
Despite all the success that he has gotten all through, he is very humble. He has never left that virtue since he was born.
He's a family man.
He doesn't forget about where he has come from.
And when you look back to the village, he's really helping people.
With stories like Dennis's, and the motivation they give, any of these faces could be the next entrepreneur, the next employer, the next young rich. My name is Josh, and this has been Young Rich.
Who will love me for me? 'Cause nobody has shown me what love really means. What love really means. Her office is shrinking a little each day. She's the woman